An important day for a couple of reasons. One for the NFL, one for the rest of the world, the election, the trade deadline also that day. The trade deadline this year because of COVID, Peter, you touched on it earlier, the urgency that the Ravens had to get Yannick Ngakoue. You got to get these guys in the door. Yesterday was really the last day if you want to have a guy have a full practice week before week 9. So I don't know how much we're going to see between now and Tuesday. What do you think?
I really thought, Mike, we would see 2 or 3 trades, not just the Carlos Dunlap trade on Wednesday. I thought we would see 2 or 3 trades yesterday. We saw none. But I think what that means is that most teams are looking at this, that they don't want to add salary this year. Because let's say you trade for a guy, let's say, and I know one team was very interested in Ryan Kerrigan, the Washington pass rusher, who I think could be a great add for some team. But if you take Ryan Kerrigan, here's what that means. You have to basically pay about $5.5 million, okay, and add that to your cap this year. So, and it's basically taking away from money that you could save in 2021. Because if you have money left over this year, you can add it on to your number of 175 for next year. And so that's why, to me, I thought you would see more. But guys like Ryan Kerrigan, guys like, a lot of veteran players, quite honestly, who have big numbers this year, that's why teams are shying away from them.
And 4 teams that don't play week 9, so maybe they're still in play to do a deal. Browns, Bengals, Rams, Eagles. You don't have that same urgency because you're thinking week number 10 anyway. So maybe one of those teams will do something. Maybe there's a receiver that has that ability to stretch the field that catches the eye of Kevin Stefanski and the Browns, and they try to do something in that regard. But, yeah, I think that, in most years, we build up this anticipation that something's going to happen, and usually nothing really does. I just think.
But there were 12 trades last year, Mike, and there's 12 trades last year, and it was set up to be a rich trade season this year. And again, maybe it will be, but there's only been 5 to this point, and so we'll see what happens in the next 4 days.
There's always those names that bubble up that end up fizzling out, and it ends up being guys we weren't thinking about who end up being traded, regardless of the total number. That you get the anticipation, could this guy be traded? And there's all the rumors. Maybe he's going to be traded. Maybe he's going to be traded. And it seems like they can never really quite work it out. And I agree with you. The idea of balancing how much you want to invest in your roster this year versus how much of that cap space you want to be able to carry over to next year so you can do business. That's going to be a factor as well. And also, Peter, look, with 7 spots per conference, it's too early for most of these teams to say we're selling off assets. I mean, a lot of these teams are still alive that otherwise would be dead in any other year. I mean, even, except for the Jets, who's really, as a practical matter, done? We saw how quickly the Falcons could turn around their vibe with a win last night. If the Vikings would beat the Packers on Sunday at Green Bay, all of a sudden they're feeling different. And maybe it's this one more week of games that will cause some of these teams to start making phone calls, even if it doesn't mean another team getting the benefit of that player come Sunday of next week.
Assuming the Eagles win this game against Dallas on Sunday night, I would expect Howie Roseman, you're right, Mike, with a bye the following week, to make 48 phone calls in the next 48 hours because Howie Roseman is a guy who doesn't shy away from making any deals. And I'm not saying he's the type of guy who says, I'll worry about the 2021 cap next year. But I think if he sees that his team is capable of turning it around, and he thinks maybe that Kevin Zeitler or he can go get a good offensive lineman somewhere and rent him for the last 9 weeks of the season, 8 weeks, I wouldn't put it past him at all.
Hey, and this team has a history of getting hot late in the year. 2017, when Carson Wentz was gone and everybody thought they were done, they win the Super Bowl. 2018, he gets hurt again. Everybody thinks they're done. They get within a whisker of the Final Four. Last year, 5-7, they put the foot on the gas. They win the division. And if Carson Wentz doesn't suffer that concussion, maybe they win then. So the Eagles are one of the few teams where you could say there's value, Peter, in going all in.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.